Guys, when it comes to survival, one of the most overlooked aspects of being prepared is having your family prepared, having them on board, talking to them about the potential threats that are possible. And one of the ways to get this started is to sit down with your family and to discuss some of the things that are happening and put together an action plan, getting a lot of input from not only your wife but also your children. And so making this plan, putting it together, because one of the big things about an emergency is that, the panic sets in, there's unknown, you don't know what to do. And so if you prepare them ahead of time, it's going to give them a springboard to be able to move into action. And guys, that's the most important. You don't want your child or your wife at home not knowing what to do if you're not there. But even if you are there, is to be able to put together a coordinated plan and act as a team. There are 3 different areas that you need to look at: communication, supplies, and destination. And you want to make your plan around those 3 criteria. Now, you definitely want to go through the different possibilities, the threats. And guys, you don't want to scare your family, but you do want to have them informed and you do want to have them ready. Of course, one of the big things is a house fire. What do they need to do? You plan that, or it could be an environmental problem. It could be a tornado, hurricane. It could be flooding, a number of different things. But then it can also go into civil unrest. It can go into a home invasion situation. And then, last but not least, it could go into a nuclear, a biological, or a chemical attack. And knowing how to react to each of those. Now, we're going to do a series on different ways to hit those subcategories and how to be prepared for specific things. But this is a general how to get started and to get your family on board. And again, guys, it's teamwork, and that's what we're looking for. Now, number 3 is to find a safe spot, and whether that's some kind of safe room where it's like in the middle of the house where it's very well protected, there are no windows, it's a little bit more difficult to access. You can get your family in there and they can lock down for a little while. This would be very important, let's say in a tornado situation or even a home invasion where you need to hide, you need to get into a spot and wait for local authorities to arrive. A basement is also a great place, if you have one, to cover a lot of different areas for a safe spot. Guys, if there are power outages, being able to, number 1, contact your power company and let them know that you have a power outage. Number 2 is have flashlights, candles, things like that, to have light and to have them accessible, knowing where they are and keeping them in that one spot. Demonstrate shutting off utilities, whether it's going back to the power box and shutting down the power, or it's shutting off your water or gas, whatever utilities you have to your house. It may be important to be able to shut those down. And so having your kids, taking them out, showing them what tools to have and having those tools available. And when it comes to your power, knowing where to turn this off. Here's your main break. Go ahead and hit that. But your kids need to know, and also your wife needs to know. Knowing where the breaker box is in your home, being able to get to whatever breakers you need in case there's a problem, this is something you need to show and demonstrate. But also, if you have personal injuries, where is your Medkit? Where is it in location so you can get to it in case there is someone that's injured? Having your family take a CPR class, medical emergencies, and knowing how to treat certain things, that is important no matter what. You can be sitting at a table and get choked on a piece of steak. And so it's good for people to know CPR. We've taken CPR classes and our family is certified. And then we've gone on and taken trauma classes as well. Getting the family involved, having trauma kits, knowing how to use them. In an emergency situation, that is very important. And so making sure that you at least have CPR. And with that, I would also add, where are your firearms at? If you're in a home invasion situation, do your children know? Are they trained? Have you taken them out? Would they be able to defend themselves if they were in a critical situation? Have a floor plan of your house. Have it laid out. You need to have at least 2 escape routes from every room. Now, one of those is probably going to be a window and then one through a door. But especially in a fire situation, slipping outside the window, they may not even think about going out of a window. And so going ahead and having that plan set aside. And then 2, just out of your main entrances. Our house is fairly large, and so we need to make sure if they're upstairs or they're downstairs. Having emergency phone numbers, whether this is medical, law enforcement, fire, having those numbers posted so they can get to it. Those important numbers, having them listed, and of course 911 is important. Sometimes though it just gets overwhelmed. And so we have the sheriff department, the fire department, the hospital, we have the water company, the electrical company, and other utilities possibly. We don't have gas here, but that's definitely something that a lot of people do have. Now, having a list of not only local but out-of-state contacts. If your family members are out and about and for some reason they can't get home and they need to be able to contact other people, they may not be able to reach you for whatever reason. Because typically in a really dire situation or an emergency, a lot of times, again, you know, the phone lines get really clogged up. You can't make calls out, you can't make calls in, or, you know, in that general area. You may be able to call outside of the area. And so having these numbers set aside, a list, again, of local people, not necessarily for your home, but people that you have friends or you have family that are around, and that way your children or your wife may be able to get to those people where there may be an issue with you. You may have lost your phone, something may have happened. And so being able to get in touch with outside help makes a big difference. And one thing too, guys, is have that emergency weather radio handy. You know, we have one that has weather, it has shortwave, it has a hand crank, it's solar, and so it'll run over time. So have that radio available where somebody in the home knows where it is, they can access it, and they can turn it on to see what's going on. Now, number 10 is having a location outside the house. If you have a fire, you definitely want to have a spot where the whole family comes together outside the home. We have a particular area right at the top of our driveway, and if there's a fire and you get out of the house, make sure you make your way to that designated spot. Recently I heard about a house fire where a man couldn't find one of his children. He ran back into the house. He actually died from the fire, and his child was outside on the other side of the house. And so everyone coming together and being in one location is critical. Now, you may not be able to get to your neighborhood. You may not be able to get close enough. There needs to be a designated area to be able to go to outside of your neighborhood. Now, having all of your important documents in a box that is fireproof and waterproof. Flooding and different things can happen, even in a fire. With all the water that's poured in, a lot of times documents can get ruined. So making sure you have a small little lockbox that, again, is not only fireproof, but waterproof. So again, guys, a destination, your supplies, and communication are very important when it comes to making a family plan. You have those down, and then you can move on to more specific needs. And we'll again be discussing those in upcoming videos. Guys, when it comes to prepping and survival, there's a lot of different information out on the web, and it takes a lot to try to find and source what's credible and what's not. One of the best sources that I know is Survival Dispatch Insider. They use some of the top names in the survival community that come together. It is really just one of the best resources on the web. We upload one video that is exclusive to the Insider every week, and we're just glad to be a part. I'm going to have a link down below in the description. I think it's well worth checking out. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Cover all the different scenarios, and then we'll break it in to put together a place. Now, number 3, a room that has no walls, and it's very important to take that emergency